On Thursday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the New York Giants 22-21. And I guess we'll start with the Eagles because they won. I guess they deserve it. You have to know the name Travis Fulgham. He is a guy who was drafted in the 6th round of the NFL draft by the Detroit Lions in 2019. And going into this year in 2020, kind of a nobody, not even on the same team he was drafted by. And Travis Fulgham has really made a name for himself as I think probably the most exciting receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's really, really cool. He had another 5 catches for 73 yards on Thursday. The dude fights hard for the ball. He can go up and catch jump balls. I love the way on like a hitch or a comeback, he comes back hard for the ball. He will beat defenders to the ball. And Carson Wentz really trusts this guy. And we'll talk about Carson in a minute, but Carson Wentz, I think, is partially struggling with he doesn't trust the people around him. To have a guy like Travis Fulgham, somebody that Carson Wentz, when he releases the ball, he knows, my guy Travis is going to come back hard for the ball. He's not going to let a defender body him up and box him out for the football. You got to know the name Travis Fulgham. He's this awesome new receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's kind of this guy who's come out of nowhere, and I love him, man. It's so much fun to watch Travis Fulgham. I'm disappointed. I wish that the other top picks that the Eagles had drafted at receiver were the really exciting receivers in Philadelphia. It's not true, but Travis Fulgham, man, he looks awesome. Now, Carson Wentz deserves a lot of credit. I thought that at the end of this game, he was incredibly clutch. And first of all, Carson Wentz delivered when it mattered most. There was a moment at the end of this game on the final drive. He was down. They needed a touchdown. Carson Wentz threw this beautiful throw where it's a perfect pass down the right sideline to Boston Scott, game-winning touchdown with seconds left on the clock. And for me, that's an elite throw. If you go watch the film or even watch the highlights, that throw by Carson Wentz to end the game to beat the Giants I would even call that elite level stuff. That's an incredibly perfect football throw. Football throw sounds really stupid when you say that out loud. You can tell I'm spitballing here. Carson Wentz has been really, really infuriating to watch this year because the best of Carson Wentz is elite. He's really, really incredibly gifted. He can play at such a high level, and I would say he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire NFL, just physically gifted. The problem is Carson Wentz has been having these great moments rather than prolonged periods of consistent elite play. It's a moment rather than a whole season or a whole couple of games. And honestly, at this point, my belief, people keep asking me, what's wrong with Carson Wentz? What's going on? Why does he appear to not be at the high level you thought he was? Because I even came out, I almost am embarrassed to admit this. I said Carson Wentz was an elite quarterback. And the dude has not played that way this year so far. Now, he's had great moments, though, followed up by great moments of frustration and confusion if you're watching him. My belief is that Carson Wentz believes that he needs to be Superman. He needs to do everything himself. At least that's how he feels. And I honestly, it totally makes sense to me where his team is banged up. There's a bunch of injuries all around him. And I think the pressure of not just the Philadelphia market, but the pressure of trying to carry the team around him is causing him to make bad mistakes and force throws that are not there and play some kind of hero ball. And 2 examples of this are, there was a throw, first of all, there's a play where he's rolling right on Thursday night. Rolling right, is way along the right sideline. And inexplicably, he just launches the ball back to the left across the field. Thank goodness Travis Fulgham was there to knock the ball down. But it's this dangerous, horrible, ridiculous throw. I've never seen anybody rolling right along the right sideline, literally launch the ball all the way across the field, across the entire football field to the other sideline. Not only 7 yards downfield too. Not even like a deep, nothing, not wide open, risky, stupid. I watched that and went, Carson, what are you doing? He got lucky. Troy Aikman even said it. If you're a young quarterback and you do that, you're getting benched. You're getting pulled. How about play number 2, 3rd and 3? The Giants had a safety walk down on the left side along the line of scrimmage. And the safety is standing way inside. And Carson changes the play to a quarterback draw and runs right up the middle. And on paper, that should not work. You go, Carson, I don't know what you have man coverage outside. A safety's walked down. You're running right at that safety. That should not work. That's a bad play on paper. But here, Carson played the role of Superman. And it worked, by the way. Carson Wentz ran over a dude, fell forward for the first down, got the first down on 3rd and 3. And I went, okay, I think that's a weird choice, but hey, Carson thinks he needs to be Superman. And when you look at his decision-making, you see that repeatedly. There's another play on 3rd and 9 where Carson had time in the pocket. He had a little pressure on his right. What he should have done, slide in the pocket, step to the right, step forward. There's a great throwing lane over the middle of the field. Instead, he panics, reverse pivots, runs around, ends up throwing the ball away. No one's open. He either threw the ball away or took a sack. I don't remember exactly. I just remember feeling like, man, Carson, you got to stay in the pocket there. Don't panic. Slide. Find your throwing lane. And what's the lesson here? So Carson thinks he needs to play hero ball. He needs to be Superman and put everything on his shoulders. And it also feels like Carson doesn't trust anybody around him. And he even seems to not trust the play calling sometimes. And I get it. I actually totally understand why Carson Wentz feels this way. I imagine there's a ton of pressure. He was a top pick in the NFL draft. The entire team around him is injured. There's all this pressure from everybody around him. Not to mention, by the way, he's reading articles where, his team, by the way, they did draft a quarterback in the 2nd round of the NFL draft. He's now reading articles that his team is probably going to try to replace him with Jalen Hurts. I can't imagine all the pressure going on around Carson Wentz. And even if the pressure's not getting to him, imagine the feeling of everyone around me is backups or depleted or injured. I have to carry and lift up everybody around me. I'm the guy. I need to be the man. I have to show that. So my theory is Carson Wentz feels tremendous pressure, plus he wants to win, and he has confidence. He believes in himself, and it's causing him to play hero ball and make dumb mistakes. That is my theory behind what we've seen so far from Carson Wentz. That when you say it, okay, he doesn't trust the people around him, he needs to play hero ball, that explains everything he's done to this point. I also want to say that Doug Pederson goes for it on 4th down all the time. He's the head coach of the Eagles. And he goes for so many 2-point conversions as well. And, he does that stuff about twice as much as I would. He literally does that about, half the time when I watch Doug Pederson go for it on 4th down or go for a 2-point conversion, I go, why? Take the 3 points or take the easy extra point. What are you doing? And again, I only agree about half the time when I watch Doug Pederson do almost anything on 4th down or on a 2-point conversion situation. And the coach in Washington is called, Ron Rivera, is called Riverboat Ron. And I almost want to call Doug Pederson like Vegas Doug or, Gamble the Mortgage Doug. Because it's like, there's so many moments where I go, Doug, what are you doing? It's 4th down. You're down a touchdown. Or you're up by 4. Go. You don't need to go for it on 4th and 1. Kick the field goal. It's an easy field goal. What are you doing? And there are so many moments where Doug Pederson takes what I believe are unnecessary risks. And I just, his game management recently has been driving me nuts. And I look and go like, what are you doing, Doug? I don't get it at all. Again, Gamble the Mortgage Doug. It sounds incredibly stupid, but it's like, Doug, what are you doing? Not to mention, the other thing that's driving me nuts about Doug Pederson, and I have great reverence for Doug Pederson. He won a Super Bowl. He's clearly not an idiot. People like him. I'm not trying to trash on the guy. But I want to see more creative play calling when Jalen Hurts is in at quarterback. I've watched a lot of Eagles football. I've watched I can't remember what game it is. There was a game, gosh, I don't remember. I've seen all but one game the Eagles played this year. And, the weeks are blending together. I lose track. I apologize. But I've only seen Jalen Hurts really complete one pass all year. There's on a 2-point conversion, that's a little bit different. But in a normal offensive set, not in a 2-point conversion situation, I've only seen Jalen Hurts throw the football one time. And he keeps running the ball. And a very obvious, clear, predictable runs. You're like, Doug Pederson, why are you not mixing it up? Why are you not doing anything creative with your young rookie quarterback who's got this incredible physical skill set? I don't get it. I don't understand. And I see a lot of stuff Doug Pederson is doing, and I go, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the New York Giants in this game on Thursday. I mean, the Giants should have won this game. Never forget, and never is a bit dramatic, but the New York Giants had an 11-point lead with 6 minutes left in this game, and they lost. And you go, ha! I remember watching, and I knew that the Eagles were going to win, but I didn't know how they were going to win. I watched about an hour later, and I remember feeling like 6 minutes left. Giants are up 11 points. How does Philadelphia win this game? And there was a key costly play at the end of this game. I guess really there were two made by this player, but Evan Ingram, the worst play of the game was a 3rd and 7, and Giants fans will know exactly what I'm talking about. 3rd and 7, right before the 2-minute warning. You're winning 21-16. Daniel Jones throws a beautiful ball down the sideline to Evan Ingram, and he drops it. Evan Ingram drops this perfect pass from Daniel Jones. And if he catches that pass, the Giants either win the game outright or they give Philadelphia the ball with like 29 seconds left. I mean, they really would have taken all of the wind out of the sails for the Philadelphia Eagles. But Evan Ingram drops this really key, crucial pass. And that gave Philadelphia the ball back with, 2 minutes and 2 seconds left. So the 2-minute warning plus 2 timeouts. Philadelphia drives down the field. They get the game-winning touchdown. And I guess my main point here is that you can crush Daniel Jones. A lot of people really, really are hard on the Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones. And I just want to point out that Daniel Jones did everything he needed to do to win this football game on Thursday. I'm not trying to be the biggest Daniel Jones defender in the world. I'm not going to die on this hill. I don't really know how things are going to work out for Daniel Jones. But I know that Giants fans are furious all the time. And I honestly think that New York is a little bit too hard on their second-year quarterback, Daniel Jones. Remember, this is the same fan base. And I love you Giants fans. You're a crazy bunch of people, and I love you. I've been in New York. I went to a game. I went to MetLife Stadium. I was at the the Wildcats? What's the name of that? The Guardian. I went to a Guardians game in the XFL, and I met a lot of you people. And oh my gosh, and sounds stupid, but New York sports fans are this really cool group of people. They're passionate, they're angry, they're rowdy, and I love having heated, sometimes angry debate with you guys. It's really fun. But I want people to realize, if you're not a New York sports fan, the New York fan base is the same group of fans that for many stretches of Eli Manning's career hated him and wanted to get rid of him. People hated Eli Manning, and he's a borderline, maybe probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. So Giants fans hate on Daniel Jones. I go, well, you hate on everybody. And remember, the one interception Daniel Jones threw in this game, again, that guy Evan Ingram, the guy you love, who dropped the crucial pass at the end of the game, that ball bounced right off Evan Ingram's hands, up in the air, grabbed by a defender. That's an interception. It was not Daniel Jones' fault. And so I have patience for Daniel Jones. And I really don't understand why, Giants fans are calling for Daniel Jones' head. What's the benefit of benching Daniel Jones? You can put Colt McCoy in. I don't see let things play out. Let Daniel Jones play the rest of the year. And if you need a new quarterback in April, draft one. And if not, hey, if Daniel Jones pans out, great. But you got to see what he's got. I don't understand anybody who wants to bench Daniel Jones. It makes no sense. You can predict he's not going to work out. You can predict he's going to be terrible. Given the rest of the year, it'll be awful. But benching Daniel Jones does nothing to benefit the New York Giants, and I don't understand anybody making an argument to do that. The Giants have no other option than play Daniel Jones, figure out what they have, and if he's bad, you draft a new guy. If he's good, congratulations, you can use your high draft pick to get somebody else who can help Daniel Jones win more football games. It's a win-win. There's no benefit to benching Daniel Jones. All you can do is win by playing him. I also got to say, I love the 3rd and goal play call. The touchdown that gave the Giants a 21-16 lead. Sterling Shepard started outside. Because of the way the Eagles play defense, they switch. They kind of, they pass off Sterling Shepard. And when they pass him off, the guy's cutting inside. So I guess, how do I explain this properly? Basically, Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator of the Giants, figured out, hey, based on their system, if we run Sterling Shepard out, they're going to switch. Then when he cuts back inside, he's in no man's land. Nobody's guarding him. Wide open, easy touchdown, 3rd and goal. Great play call by Jason Garrett. Daniel Jones had a bad fumble at the end of the game. I can't defend it. It seems like Daniel Jones has almost zero pocket presence. He just has like no awareness of bodies around him. I'm gonna watch the fumble for Daniel Jones with like, what was it, 23 seconds left, something like that. And he just has no idea a defender's bearing down. I don't know how you have no peripheral vision. You're looking downfield. It's your front side. I don't know how you don't feel a defender there, but he just clearly did not see anybody or feel any pressure around him. That's very concerning. That's probably, as my voice cracks, that's probably why Daniel Jones has so many fumbles is, I mean, probably is probably the wrong, even it is why Daniel Jones has so many fumbles, is he has no spatial self-awareness of bodies around him. That's a big problem Daniel Jones has. That's a huge flaw. I don't see a solution to that. That's just like, dude, you do not have peripheral vision. What's going on there? Now, we have to talk about the moment where Daniel Jones tripped and fell over because he had this huge run. It went for 80 yards. It should have been a touchdown, and he just like got sniped. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Like, you know, the joke when a kid would fall over in the backyard or at recess, so like, oh, he got sniped. Daniel Jones got sniped. He's running. He's past everybody. There's nobody around him, and he just falls over. And it's hilarious. It's funny. There were so many memes. I started the game late. My girlfriend, I'm sitting on the couch with my girlfriend. She goes, "Did you see this?" And she shows me her phone. She's not a sports fan. She couldn't name anybody on the Giants. She goes, "This guy Daniel Jones just falls over." And if my girlfriend's laughing about it, my girlfriend who knows literally nothing about sports, you know it's a big deal. It's funny, man. It was so hilarious. The memes were great. It's probably one of the most Daniel Jones moments of all time where, of course, Daniel Jones breaks away for a touchdown and just falls over. But I also don't understand. The jokes are one thing. The genuine hate confuses me because the Giants did score a couple plays later. They got a touchdown on that same drive. So Daniel Jones, yeah, it's funny he fell over. It also did still set up a touchdown drive. Touchdown. So I don't really understand why the animosity towards Daniel Jones makes no sense. Make fun of him. It's funny, but I don't see why you need to hate him for an 80-yard run that set up a touchdown. It doesn't make any sense to me. I also wonder, am I the only person who, when I watch Daniel Jones, his footwork, his mannerisms, the way he even throws the football, everything, it's kind of wild how much Daniel Jones looks exactly like Eli Manning. I mean, and not just the facial expressions or the fact that he's just some tall, average-looking dude. It's like literally the way he throws an out route. I go, that looks exactly like Eli Manning wearing number 8. It's kind of weird to me. And I cannot be the only person who watches Daniel Jones and goes, I just see Eli. I see Eli with number 8 on. It's kind of crazy. Now, it's also weird to me that the Giants kept running zone coverage over and over and over again, giving up easy completion after easy completion to Carson Wentz and the Eagles. I kept waiting for them to make an adjustment. They never did. And I just went, is it personnel? It must be personnel. I mean, they must not just, I guess it is factual that the Giants don't have the personnel to run man coverage, but Carson was shredding their zone coverage, and the Giants were helpless and could do nothing about it. The Giants also really struggled with pass protection. It's not really coaching. I guess it's maybe coaching. I don't know what to do here. The offensive line needs help because there are so many moments where it's not just the fact that the Giants are giving up pressure to a 4-man rush. A very simple 4 guys line up on the defensive line, and they're just beating the Giants in one-on-one matchups repeatedly. That's a huge problem. Daniel Jones was helpless multiple times on Thursday night. But also, and here's where coaching plays a part, is that the Giants' offensive line is awful at picking up a blitz. So if you have your defensive tackle or people around the line of scrimmage kind of walking around, and then 2 guys back off, 2 guys from the outside rush on the outside, and we saw Daniel Jones take a sack that way. They have no idea how to communicate. Yeah, we need to fan out. You take in and in. I'll go out and out. There's little moments like it doesn't make any sense if you probably know football language. But basically, a tackle will say, in and in. You take the in guy. I'll take the out guy. And there's really poor communication on the offensive line, I'm trying to say, I guess. And if I was a coach playing against the Giants, I would blitz them into oblivion because they are so bad at communicating how to pick up pressure. And it's a huge problem the Giants are facing right now. And I guess, honestly, my final thought here is that I'm really curious whether or not Joe Judge is going to succeed as the head coach of the Giants. I don't know. I would give it right now it's like a 50-50 shot. It could go either way. I will say, and this really helps Joe Judge, Giants fans in New York really love the guy, and they want him to succeed, and that's their coach. I get it. And despite being 1-6, I think that because of COVID, he actually gets a complete pass this year. Like, no matter what happens to the Giants, you can always say, well, it's a horrible time to be a first-year head coach, and it's, let alone a first-time ever head coach. I mean, Joe Judge had never done a job like that before, so I think Joe Judge gets a pass no matter what happens this year because of COVID. But I'm really curious whether or not Joe Judge is going to succeed in New York. Giants fans love him, and we'll see what happens. I think that the people I've talked to in New York are Giants players are more satisfied than the Cowboys players are under Mike McCarthy. That's very telling. Nobody hates him yet. Maybe they never will if they can turn things around and keep going in a good direction. So, yeah, keep your eye on Joe Judge. Will he succeed or not? I have no idea. It's kind of up in the air, and I'm curious if indeed he does. And I gotta say, I'm pulling for Joe Judge. I don't see any reason to hate Joe Judge. I think that they need better personnel. I think a lot of stuff, like, for example, the defense, they can't run man coverage. And I know I criticize them, like, why are you playing zone coverage? But I don't have another answer there. If I'm coaching the Giants, I go, we don't have the bodies to run with anybody. Like, we can't play Deshaun Jackson in man-to-man coverage. We're going to get burned horribly. So what do? I don't know. But I think I'm really curious to see how Joe Judge does. If, in fact, he can get better players on this roster underneath him, how does he do? And then how ingenious is he? Can he do a lot with little? I don't know. But how does Joe Judge do? Does he succeed? I have no idea. I'm excited to find out as time goes on.